if you remember in the 2000s, there was the Tea Party, which was a
Hmm.
very sort of Ron Paul libertarian,
Yes.
small government criticism of the Federal Reserve approach. And then what happened was that sort of quasi organic movement immediately got infiltrated and bought out by all the neocons. Sarah Palin shows
Yes.
up, John
Yep.
Cornyn shows up, all of these sort of neoconservatives come in and just sort of say, oh, no, we're the Tea Party. We always have been.
Mhm.
Same situation here.
Exact same. And that's the thing. Some of these organic movements get easily infiltrated and hijacked. And that has been happening through the web of NGOs that
Yes.
operate around the world, and
Yes.
how things, let's say you have Soros and the Open Society Foundation funding so many NGOs around the world that are funding the migrant crisis, that are funding, ideological battles in every which country where you point to. As conservatives, we don't do that. We haven't conserved anything really, including our own nation. I mean,
Right.
it's completely being broken down exactly by all of these networks that are operating
Yes.
here, and they're being funded by the same people.
Thank you so much. And by the way, everybody in the audience listening, for all of you people, including all of you normie docs and ortho goobers who have called me names for all these years, you just heard Dr. Olga, PhD in these topics, saying all the same stuff that I've been saying, vindicating the analysis. It's the NGOs, the think tanks, the foundations, these networks, which have a global infrastructure that's able to achieve the social engineering and the transformation and regime change coup operations in these countries. It's my view that they're basically kind of running a version of that even in America as well. Do you have a
Yeah,
take on that?
exactly. The exact same blueprint. Those NGOs that have operated around the world are exactly the enemy combatants almost here domestically, and they are funding the same things within Antifa, within organizations that we've heard of before, such as Black Lives Matter. I mean, when you follow the money, you will find the same people, the same blueprint, the same production company, the same directors, and the actors only change, and the actors change based on what is the weakest link within that specific country. For countries outside of the United States, they're either religious or
Yes.
ethnic. Here
Yes.
we have racial differences that
Yes.
they can exploit to
Exploiting.
no end,
Thank you.
and that is exactly what's going to be our weakest link. If they are capable of sowing the discord and the seeds of a type of civil war that's already occurring, it's going to be very bloody, and that is what we have to avoid.
Yes, thank you. Now, for those that don't know, this is something that we've talked about many times, and everybody should go look this up because I know Dr. Olga will know all about this way more than I do. But you guys recall, we have talked about Otpor, which was the
Yes.
resistance operation that was early stages of color revolution strategy from Gene Sharp and the Einstein Institute, where they concoct a phases of
Hmm.
propagandizing students, posters. The funny thing about Otpor too is that it uses the communist fist. So they use this communist fist logo, but it's tailored to the sort of neoliberal anti-Eurasian attitude that was pushed. I think it was actually pushed by Soros, wasn't it? The
Well,
early,
Soros was funding a lot
yeah.
of this. So it was Srđa Popovic was the student who led Otpor, or so-called Canvas, later on. And you have anywhere where you have some of these look, here's what's really crazy and what's scary right now. People are not allowed almost to have legitimate grievances with their own government, because the moment they do, and they're very legitimate, it's happening in Serbia right now, they get scared by the things such as, oh, it's colored revolution. It's it, it's very hard now to be stuck between a rock and a hard place, because anytime you have a grievance with your own government, you're not allowed to legitimately say it, because you know that the intel agencies and people like who led Otpor, who are now, by the way, seeding revolutions everywhere around the world and trying to hijack, as you said, the Tea Party. Do you remember Occupy Wall Street?
Yeah, they turned
Very,
it into the
yeah,
coffee party. They had the
they
same
tried it as that as well.
the
Yes.
Democrats did the same thing with
So they
Occupy.
will do it over and over again. So you have people who led Otpor, who literally went around based on their Bible, which is the Gene Sharp book, From Dictatorship to Democracy, the non-violent so-called revolution, but it's extremely violent. It turns into a very violent revolution. So that is what's been happening for quite some time. And it's happening right here. And that is the scariest part of all of this. They have replicated it and weaponized every single three-letter agency here in the country. And that is where we are right now. And that is what has been weaponized against President Trump, launched in 2015, and it continues today. And look, we're still waiting for Cash and Pam and Tulsi Gabbard to bring up all of this stuff to the surface. Because again, look at 2020, the hijacked elections. Well, where were these Dominion software? Sitting in Serbia, sitting in Venezuela, sitting around all of these countries where we kind of send out our agents hidden from our own laws, but we can put them in other countries, and they are doing what they're doing there. All of the malfeasance and nefarious actions, they actually impact us here at home. It's a really scary web, and it's time to dismantle. That is the only way we can fight this.
Yeah. And I know kind of how Americans, especially sort of boomer evangelicals, how they think when they hear this stuff. So let me ask you this, because they're going to think, wait a minute, but are you saying the Soviets were the good guys? And I mean, weren't these movements anti-Soviet and anti, this was the CIA's operations in the Balkans to ensure that we, transitioned them into the IMF free market model. So now you're saying Soviets are the good guys. This is the dialectical
But
false
that's
either or
that's
thinking.
exactly it. They get you stuck between two opposing paradigms, and it's impossible to actually have, between black and white, some shades of gray. You're not allowed to look at the shades of gray. You're not allowed to actually be in the middle, analyzing both sides and understanding how, in fact, both of those extreme sides are being funded by one and the same machinery, and pinning it against one another and bringing about civil war and discord and colored revolutions and regime change based on, as I said, whatever the weakest link is. And I'm so sorry. I don't know if you planned on this. I have a hard stop at 2, but we can continue this, and I
That's
would
fine. No,
love
it was
to
an amazing
continue it,
conversation, and yeah, this.
because I think it's very important. The work that you have done, we can merge this together because we have a country to save ultimately.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody should follow Dr. Olga in the social media links below and get involved and support her work. She is obviously on the same page and she's doing good stuff. And we really appreciate her coming on. Thank you so much, Dr. Olga. And I want to
Thank
definitely
you.
get you back on to go deeper into the geopolitics.
Absolutely. Let's do that.